Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. It's a lovely day here in Spain, Sunday morning, and I'm just waiting for the condensation to dry up on that side of the boat. Big push today. Hopefully the windows will go in. Right, let's get down to it. Harry's divorce house. I see this puff piece thing and I've no idea if it's true, whether to believe it or not, if it's just something that's been put out there because Their Majesties the King and Queen are in Australia, and I see they're getting a very, very warm welcome, and quite right too. And I was reading in the Daily Mail this morning how the King has given I can't think of the word. It's like an egg timer. I can't think of the word. I'm getting this more and more, or I forget words. Anyway, like a sand timer thing. And I thought that was such a lovely idea. The sands of time and how he's reflecting on his past visits to Australia, how much he loves Australia. And everything he's talking about is about Australia and the Australian people, or of the particular places that he's going, as opposed to talking about himself, when he would have every right to. And how the people of Australia love the fact that he's made such an effort under the circumstances, and the Queen, and doesn't she look lovely? I'll tell you what I loved. Her shoes. I see a lot of the younger royals, they wear such high heels, it's like they're on scaffold poles with stilettos. When the heel is too high, the foot actually becomes pushed forward, so it looks like they're tottering. No names mentioned Meghan. But even the Princess of Wales I've seen wearing really, really, really tall high heels. But Camilla had the right height. I really liked that. Very elegant. The late Princess of Wales often did that. And they were just gorgeous shoes. Gorgeous. And her outfits, everything. Even though I haven't seen any tiaras yet, she looks lovely. And bless them both. And God bless the people of Australia. I think it's wonderful, and it makes a connection. As of course we get a puff piece about Harry bought a house in Portugal. Did he indeed? A little bit too close for comfort, if you ask me. Because, we used to live in Portugal, as you all know. We used to live in Praia de Luz, and the GNR. I will do a whole video about it. I've done it before, and the title of it was Praia de Luz. But when you search Praia de Luz, you can't find that video. YouTube's not listed it. I think because we weren't there at the time of Madeline. We were there years before. But it's kind of eyewitness as to what the town then was like. And we lived there in 2002 to 2003. And then we moved back to the UK. Now Madeline, I think she was taken in 2005 or 2007, something like that. And when I heard on the news at the time, a little girl's gone missing in Portugal, I phoned Graham at work and I said, have you heard this on the news? I said, I bet that's Luz. He went, oh come on, Portugal's a big country. It could be anywhere. I said, I'm telling you, it'll be Luz. And by the afternoon they were saying it's the Algarve. So I phoned him up again. I said, well, they've narrowed it down now. It's the Algarve, apparently. It's definitely going to be Luz. And he said, the Algarve is still a big place, which it is. And by the evening, about 7 o'clock, it came out on the news, Praia de Luz. Well, you could have knocked my Graham down with a feather. He was like, oh, my God. Because, Graham's a very sort of blokey bloke. He's not into his feminine side. Let's put it that way. And he, in those days, definitely wasn't into intuition or picking up on bad feelings, good and bad vibes, which I had when I was in the town. And he really thought I was crazy. I hated it from the minute we walked into the town. I hated it. In fact, I had a dream about 2 weeks before we went to Luz. And I'd never been there before in my life. I had a nightmare that we were on a campsite and there were undercover police all around us, and Graham had gone off in his Land Rover and I had to warn Graham about something. So I ran out of the campsite, I swear to God, Well, Graham's my witness, because I told him at the time, and he said, "Oh, you're crazy. You know, you're always having dreams and saying." But there's dreams and dreams. I have dreams that then come true. I haven't had one in years. Anyway, in my dream, I chased his Land Rover. I couldn't get him to stop the Land Rover, and I chased him up this street, a very distinctive street with a cobbled road and a pavement that was much higher than the road with a hand railing. Anyway, he went up the top and he turned off in his Land Rover, and I looked up and down the street and I saw the Ocean Club and the post office on the same street. And I said to him, I don't know what this place is, but it's very, very bad. Something very, very, very bad is happening there. So when we turned up in Luge and we were walking around, I said to him, "Oh my God, this is the town. This is the town I had the dream about." It gives me shivers even now thinking about it. I've had dreams like this before. You know, I dreamt that we'd been burgled when I was a kid while we were staying away in Norfolk. My parents laughed at me and wouldn't believe a word of it. But when we got home, we had been burgled, you know. Then I got the blame for that as well. Well, it couldn't have been a prophetic dream. No, you must have been involved. Oh, fucking hell. Can't win, can you? So I knew as soon as I heard Madeline's gone, I thought, yep, I can well believe. And I actually phoned the UK police, and they said, well, what, you know, it's nothing to do with you. What's it got to do with you? And I said, well, I used to live in that town, and there's things I can tell you. There's people that live there, I can tell you. Oh, not interested. Fuck off, Fiona. Oh, mustn't swear, must I? I'll probably get restrictions on this anyway. This will probably end up on Graham's channel. Oh, which reminds me, a big thank you to Rainbow Pyramid Tarot channel. She's done a lovely video, sent shivers down my spine that. She did a tarot reading. I won't say what about, because then I might get restricted, and then she might get restricted. And someone actually sent me an email saying, which I think was intended for her, saying, "I'm sorry to hear that she is getting restrictions on her video because she did a video about me." You know, grow up, YouTube, really, just grow up. It'll soon be over, guys, don't you worry, it's all coming to a head. Now, let's talk about Trevor just for a moment, because I know a lot of people are very, very worried about him, and he's been through a bit of an intense time emotionally, and so was I momentarily, nowhere near on the scale of him. But I think what it is with Trevor, we all know he's got PTSD. I think he received the news last Sunday that finally his troll had been arrested. And they're out on police bail, but their devices were all taken. And over the last 7 days, I think basically Trevor's been in shock, because finally it's happened, and I don't think he ever believed that anyone would actually be arrested. You know, so many times police have said, yes, we've got the name, yes, we're going to arrest them, we're going to arrest that one, we're going to arrest that one. And finally, for someone to call him up and say, "Trevor, we have the name, we've been to the house," they gave him more details, which I won't divulge, and they are in a lot of trouble. So I think he's in shock. And then I think it was probably, I can't remember, I think it was Friday, he phoned me up and he was very distressed. And then I started to get distressed on his behalf. And also, well, I won't go into details, but basically he said, well, why don't you contact the police in Gloucester, which I did, and I had a long conversation. And so there are other things coming from that. So there's that, and the lady in Leeds. And we're trying to get to the bottom of why these individuals, whoever the hell they are, I mean, I've no idea who this second person is. I don't know their name. I know which account they were behind, but I won't say that. It's all come as a shock to all of us that finally, after all of these police forces, finally, everybody's going to get some answers. Now, the lady in Durham did do a social media post that someone sent me a screenshot of. And she said in this that she had never heard of me or Trevor until a certain man of colour who lives in New York was threatened by Trevor on a live. Well, I think we all know who she's talking about there. Christopher Boozy. Now, when I did that live a couple of years ago, Trevor was on it, Sue Smith was on it, Duchess of Sussex was on it, and Wally was on it. And Graham was on it towards the end. And all of us YouTubers have been attacked relentlessly. All of us. And Christopher Boozy, during the live, someone messaged me and said, or they might have commented, Christopher Boozy is live streaming your live stream right now, Fiona, on his Twitter feed. So I can well believe this lady in Leeds, that she'd never heard of any of us before. I mean, why would she? We're not famous. She'd never heard of any of us until this man of colour in New Jersey, New York, had said that Trevor threatened him, which is bollocks. Trevor never threatened anybody. So, this man, Christopher Boozy, through your irresponsible social media posts, you have created absolute, utter, pure hell against Trevor Coult, myself, the Duchess of Sussex, and Sue Smith, and Graham. Thank you, Christopher Boozy. Sorry, whose Netflix show did you star on again? Oh, I can't remember now. Yeah, what was it called? Fullofshit.com or something like that? I can't remember. So your irresponsible words have created this situation, Christopher Boozy. Isn't your mates, Harry and Meghan, full of kindfulness and mindfulness and be careful and online safety, and we wouldn't want anybody to self-harm or unalive themselves? Thank you very much, Windsor. Thank you very much, Windsor. You were the one who really endorsed Boozy on the Netflix shit show, weren't you? And of course your missus going on and on and on about online safety, this safety, that, kindful, this, kindful, that nonsense. See what you've created? And I'll tell you something else that you've created, Meghan, Harry and Christopher Boozy. You have created probably more support in the good and great country of Australia towards the monarchy. People warm towards victims of bullying, and that's what our monarchy has been suffering because of you. And yeah, you're going to reap everything that you have sown. So this nonsense, right? They've bought apparently that's the Puff people saying that, isn't it? They've actually bought somewhere for 4 million in Portugal so they can get a golden visa and wander around Europe. I hope they're not thinking of coming here. Speaking of which, we had a surprise booking in our house from someone. It was a different name, and then the name changed to Henry, and it's dead weird because I keep getting messages from the host service saying, you make sure you look after Henry, make sure you reach out to Henry. Well, Henry's not the next one in the house. Henry's like the next but one in the house. Why is Henry so flipping important? Who the hell is Henry? I'm sure Henry is just some dude called Henry, but it would be funny, wouldn't it? Oh, leave in the comments what you'd like me to say to him if it were. I mean, maybe people are being arrested, maybe people are, well, they're going to talk. Trust me. I've been on the receiving end of the police. I've had mates on the receiving end of the police. There's not much you can hide from the police. Especially in this digital footprint world where people have literally sent DMs and left footprints and said shit to this, said shit to that. I'm glad my hands are clean. I have never sent any dodgy DMs to anybody. I don't have any troll accounts, despite the fact Sugars claim I'm responsible for about 1,000 troll accounts and all of you guys are bots and all that shit. They clearly don't watch my videos and think that I've got time to indulge in that kind of crap when I'm fixing the boat up. Apparently with the same stuff you do false nails with. Oh, Sugars, wake up. You know, if these people who spend their lives on the internet put as much effort into their lives as they do trolling people, oh, they'd have phenomenal lives, wouldn't they? But unfortunately they don't, and yet I do. I mean, that Diane Durham woman keeps saying, why do you think your life's so awful, Fiona? Why do you think you have so many problems? Well, I don't, Diane. I don't. I have a wonderful life. I've got a boat, I've got a house. We live in a fabulous country. I'm not the one who's been arrested. I'm not the one going to Crown Court, Diane Durham, who's having the shitty life. But these people, this Diane Durham and this other fella, they are going to be the key. Oh, believe me, they're not going to, when both of them realise, and actually I think the guy does realise because apparently he cried, the police felt that Trevor was at least entitled to that little detail, that this guy cried in front of his family when he was arrested. Well, how do you think Trevor's felt? all the years you've been trolling him? Really? How do you think he's felt? Not much is going to escape the police. They are going to look into everything. They're going to look into see if people have received inexplicable payments. They're going to look into find out why people like Ian Sexton were following the troll accounts. They're going to look into a lot of things, believe me. Because those of us on the receiving end are making it our business to inform the police of where to look, how to look, what to look for. Now, when it comes to YouTube restrictions, I found out something interesting the other day. Oddly enough, I can put Harry and Meghan's name in the title, I can put them in the tags, no problem. But if and I'm not even going to say the words, but you'll all know who I'm talking about. If I were to dare to tag a certain magazine in 5 friends, total restrictions. I found that out about a week ago. I've been meaning to tell you all. Totally forgot. I put this magazine 5 friends in the tags, just in the tags. It wasn't even in the title, and it got restricted. But there were other names like Harry and Meghan and royal family and stuff in the tags. So I removed everything from the tags except for the 5 friends magazine, still restricted. I said it can't possibly be that. So I took the magazine's name out of it. Guess what? 1 minute later, restrictions were lifted. So the 5 Friends magazine has clearly either made an arrangement or pays YouTube or has a connection there who says anybody who puts our magazine name in their tags, restrict the videos straight away. Just thought I'd let you all know that for what it's worth. Wow, being a PR magazine and having to do something like that, whoa, ouch, burn, you're that unpopular? Well, why don't you stop printing puff pieces, puff people? Why don't you just talk about shit? Just be honest, just level with everybody. Or report on things, good and bad. Why don't you try that for a change instead of taking money from celebrities? Anyway, I'm not getting off on a tangent there. So this house in Portugal thing, I read this article in the Telegraph. Somebody said, oh, it used to be like paddy fields growing rice. And so it was infested with mosquitoes, but they've fancied it all up. I think it's south of Lisbon, but north of the Algarve. It's on that coast, the Atlantic coast. And apparently rich people, they buy a piece of land and then they design a house. So I'm thinking maybe it's true. Maybe Windsor has bought this. Maybe Windsor's thinking, you know, I'll build my own house from scratch, and it would certainly give him something to do. Give him a project, which I think that man-child desperately needs a project. Maybe he's thinking it would be somewhere for his children. Okay, don't shoot me over the children. We're all going along with the theory at the moment, even though nobody's seen them. Maybe it would be somewhere for his children to be free. I mean, if that's the case, it sounds to me like his divorce house. Not that she's giving him a settlement, but he's thinking to himself, where the hell am I going to live? Can't go home to my immediate family because I've pissed them off so much. They don't want to know. My brother doesn't want to know. Can't stay with Uncle Charles Spencer forever. Got to stand on my own 2 feet. 4 million, not a bad price. A little bit less ostentatious than the Montecito mansion with the 16 bathrooms. So maybe that's what he's thinking. Plus there's a language barrier, which always helps, doesn't it? If a certain person turns up who wants to talk to him. Harry, let me in, Harry. Security, secure, Dad, secured, or however you say it in Portuguese. Do you know, I could never understand a word the Portuguese said. The accent is actually very different. The language is very similar to Spanish, but the accent, it was all muj, muj, muj. It sounds kind of Russian to me. It was like a breath of fresh air when we moved back to Spain. Suddenly I could understand what they were saying. Lovely people down there. It was just there were some dodgy characters in that town, Luge, back in 2002, 2003. I hated it so much. We left, they had 2 campsites there then. We left the first campsite, which was horrible. The owner of the campsite, actually, first morning we were there, we had the door open, he stuck his head in while I was in my underwear. And Graham went, do you mind, mate? What are you doing? And he was like, no, it's my right. You're on my land. I look at your wife. You know, whoa, okay. I said, that's it, Graham, we're leaving. So we went to another campsite, which was even worse. And eventually I said to him, I've got to move again. And we had 2 caravans, so it was really pissing Graham off. He said, this is the last time, so you better be sure. So we moved to a really remote caravan site in a town called Sagres, which was lovely. We had our own private beach, and the guy, Manolo, who owned it, was wonderful, him and his family. And I told him about luge, and he went, everyone in the area knows about luge. 2002, 2003. So when people say, oh, the parents did it, yeah, okay, it's a theory. I don't criticise people for having their theories, but I knew from the beginning there's a lot more to that story. You believe me. And the GNR at the time, dodgy. Very dodgy. Talking of dodgy police. I mean, Suffolk police have let Trevor down horribly from where I'm sitting, from what I can see. Oh well, that's their lookout, isn't it? And there'll be other police forces that will come under equal criticism. I mean, if you're a police officer and you don't check into who is making a complaint to you in the first instance, you could well end up with egg all over your face and looking like a right old numpty in front of your colleagues. So it's always best to check into who you're talking to, who is giving you the complaint. Is it a complaint of malice? Is it a real complaint? Is it an ex-boyfriend? Is it an ex-girlfriend? Is it an ex-wife or husband? Is it an enemy? Is it a deluded fan? Who are they making the complaint about? What is the motivation going on here? Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Woo, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. Well, I'm looking forward to it all coming out. Obviously, it's been a horrendous journey for all of us. Trevor, more than anyone. Trevor deserves a second bloody medal for going through this. He really does. But he's all right now. He is. He's all right. I honestly think it was just the shock of it. We've spoken a lot on the phone, and he's just almost disbelief, like this is too good to be true. And then I heard one of the sugars saying, you know, oh, something is not going in her favour or something. No, you completely misunderstand. We have been dragged to hell and back by you sugars. And when you see us down, when people have been arrested, it's not because things are not going our way. Quite the reverse. It's just, we're not the type of people who jump for joy when someone's arrested. We're all having to relive every single painful moment of what you did, sugars, what you did, and Christopher Boozy and Meghan and Harry. Because when they go out into the world with all this irresponsible talk like Meghan and Harry have been guilty of, that Christopher Boozy has been guilty of, that Netflix was guilty of by promoting and allowing on its platform, now you're going to face the public, and the public are going to go, well, why did you do all that when you say that you like kindfulness and mindfulness? And anyway, so I think that maybe the Portugal house thing is true. I think maybe it is. I don't know. We will see. Maybe Windsor will do something productive once he's away from her. Maybe he will design a house. Maybe we won't hear from him for a year or two, and then suddenly he'll show a documentary on Netflix and go, look, I bought this piece of land in Portugal, and I had to get, you know, he'll go through all the difficulties of getting planning permission, because it's all nature reserve, pretty much the whole of the south of, I think, probably the whole of Portugal, because it's so beautiful. So I hear the whole place here, this is a nature reserve. So maybe he'll go through all of that, and then he'll go through the difficulties and the logistics of how to design, how to plan a house, and, you know, ultimately showing the house. And wouldn't that be awesome if he did that? Doesn't mean he'll be forgiven or forgotten for the things that he said and done in the past. But if he could show people that he was on a healing journey, you know, and he's minding his own business and he's doing his own thing and he's not hurting anybody, maybe that would be a good thing. Seriously doubt it. It's probably a load of bollocks, puff piece put out by I don't know who. Just to take heat off the King and Queen while they're in Australia. Well, we shall see. Time will tell. And I'll put a few snippets of how we've gone on with the boat today. And then maybe tomorrow's video, we might have the windows in. What I'm worried about is they're going to be wonky. We've got to it's a big boat and it's a long line, so we've got to use strings and stuff and tape up where the holes are going to go. Now I've gone to all the trouble of building a wall. Hey, I built a wall! And it will keep the rain out. Anyway, thoughts, opinions, guys. I hope you're all having a wonderful Sunday. And again, thank you, Rainbow Pyramid. Just take my name out of the title and you probably won't suffer restrictions. I don't know what the hell YouTube have got it in for me for. As always,